Actually, Hannah,
Yes.
I wanted to thank you so much. I'm the one, I think it was Sunday, that I emailed Christy and I said, look, they've gotten, I love the wine, but you with the cheese, and I can't thank you enough because the Wegmans at Shore Pump in Richmond had all three. And it's just such a nice thing to do with the wine. Not that the wine isn't great, Michael, but the cheese with it just, it adds to it. And thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It motivates me to hear these good comments. I think 2021 will be a big year for me in developing kind of what I'm trying to do with this, and hopefully take the time to put something together so that, you know, if you guys make it over here or could do more classes, I'd like to really get something going. And you guys were kind of like a test audience for me. And so it's really, really cool to know that it worked and that I might have a future doing this.
Yeah, look, Hannah's got big plans. She's convinced me to give her office space in the new winery so she can develop her cheese empire. So we'll see.
Michael, two questions on the winery. First, why do you have separate cellars for white and red? And then second, when you open the new winery, are you going to decommission the one you're in now, or are you going to keep two wineries open?
Good questions, all good questions. So when we bought this property in 04, and it came as it is, two caves, two cellars. This is the bigger one. It's dark and very damp down here. And then the other one. And so basically just we're doing more red than white. If we did more white than red, this would be the white cave. So no specific reason except for volume. This is further down underground. It stays a little bit cooler. The other one is it's underground, but and during the summer it can get a little bit warm. So usually you have the whites out of there and bottled by the summer, so the temperature isn't as much as a factor in there. It doesn't get hot, but it just, you know, not as cool as I'd like. And so it works perfectly for the whites, not to have too many white wines in there in the summer. So that's pretty much the breakdown. Now, future, I'm still trying to figure it out. So the white cave that you see over there, I might turn into kind of a entertainment kind of room, put a floor, maybe a stone floor in, have big table for events, parties, whatever in there, and do some events in there. And then here, I'm not sure what we're going to do with the aging yet of the wine. We're going to make all the wine at the new facility in Beaune, and then the question is whether we age any here or not. I don't know, because it's not going to be very efficient to drive barrels back and forth. Now we could, because what we do is similar to what we do in Charlottesville with the two locations. We could bring the wine back here in transport tanks. And actually, interesting enough, I don't know if you saw the staircase coming down here. There's about 20 or some odd stairs, a steep slope to get down here. So every one of these barrels has to be rolled upstairs to be cleaned and rolled back down to be filled. And so it's a pain in the you-know-what to do that. We have like 50 some odd barrels in here, and each one's got to be pulled down, taken across and rolled up these stairs, then washed, and then brought back down, because we can't wash them down here. And then they're filled by gravity, and right up here you can't really see, but I don't know if you want to, but there's a hole in the ceiling up there. I don't know if they can't really see.
No, but I'll show them the ceiling.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a hole in the ceiling, and we do everything by gravity coming down. We fill the barrels by gravity from the tank room and fill all these barrels. And then when it's time to bring the wine back up for blending and bottling, it's all done with nitrogen. We actually have a nitrogen that forces, I don't know if you could see, maybe you can see these down the bottom here is a bung hole right here that has a piece of wood in it. And the Burgundian method is we will put a pressure with nitrogen up here, a valve that goes in there and seals. And the technique is I wish I could actually show a video of it, but we have a spout that's pointed that fits in this hole with a valve on it. And we basically take a hammer and tap this plug out and throw the spout in before you lose too much wine. Because it's under pressure, it doesn't really come out, doesn't like pour out or anything like that. And then we put the spout in, and it's hooked up to a hose at the end of the spout and it goes up, and we turn on the nitrogen, and it gently pushes the wine down and out and up to the tank, so it doesn't get pumped with a lot of oxygen, doesn't get beat up. It's a very gentle processing, and so it's not gravity, but it's the next best.
I don't know. Phone?
Set up here in Cobb's, and it's hard to get the wine out otherwise. So actually, this is Volnay 2019 right here that we're haven't bottled yet. But so that's back to the original question. I'm not sure what we're going to do down here yet, whether we bring all the wine back or not. Kind of one week at a time here. I haven't even gotten that far. So, all right. Any other questions before we move on to the Beaune?
Yeah, I have one, Michael.
Sure.
Is Max there to help you get those barrels out?
Oh, that's Phil?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Barb.
Hi.
Yeah. So we have some a Harvest alumni.
It was great fun.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, my rear view mirror's still broken. Thanks.
Oh, sorry, Hannah. I'm really sorry about that.
No. What about Max? What about Max?
Max is my chief harvest help. What Max is from Ukraine, who also worked at Wineworks many years ago. Comes every year and helps during a harvest, as Phil did in 2019. So anyway, any other questions?
He liked it.
All right, let's move on to the Beaune if everybody's ready. As you can see, I got this labeled Beaune chalk.
Don't get me.
2018 Beaune. Phil, you can tell us about it, I guess, huh? So the Beaune, we have, we're going to do two reds here, Beaune and the Volnay. And they're separated, probably not even a 5-minute drive between the two appellations. And we started with Beaune in 2017. You guys might have had the first vintage. And this is a vineyard that we don't own, but my vineyard, my grape grower, the guy who takes care of all our vineyards, leases this vineyard. And since I know he does a great job, and he had these grapes available, and it's a great. I was really excited because Beaune is a great value appellation. The great what you get in terms of quality of Pinot Noir for the cost is fantastic, and still kind of one of the best values in Burgundy. And this site, Les Virottes, is a vineyard right at the edge of the town, and literally across the street are houses and the beginning of the city of Beaune. So this, it's on Hannah's jogging route in Beaune, but it's really close to the city. It's right as you enter the vineyards. This is the first vineyard you come to, and it's in the kind of lower plain. It's kind of blocked in by some houses around it, and it's a very hot site. It's for me, it's doesn't get a lot of airflow. It's not up on the slope where it gets a lot of air drainage and airflow, but it seems to get really, for Beaune, gets very ripe and great color, great intensity. But Beaune's not really, this appellation is not known for big tannins, especially this area where our vineyards are. It's more approachable, more softer, rounder style Pinot. I was really excited. In 17 was our first vintage with it. So this was our second vintage, the 18. And it seems like every year, not only have we gotten better and better vintages, but I've really learned about this site and how to best handle the winemaking with the site. And in 17, the first vintage, we did a lot more destemmed fruit. And then in this vintage in 18, we did 80% whole cluster. So majority of the fruit just goes in the tank without any destemming or crushing or anything. And then it was 80% that, and then 20% of destemmed fruit. And it's a different style of wine when you do it that way. It's a much slower, longer fermentation process. So you get a little more extraction, you get a little deeper color. And so that's the technique I did in 18 and 19. And plus, because I got great vintages to go along with it, you really need to have the really ripe grapes in order to do that style. And so I'm really excited about the 18. I think this is fantastic. About twice, if not more, the intensity and weight of the 17. The 17, if you guys had it, was pretty elegant, a little bit on the lighter side. This is much deeper, more structured. It has decent tannins, and that's because it's young. It's going to round out. It's still quite young. But for me, when I had this open for a while, and the first thing Hannah came and tasted it, and she's, wow, that cherries. And I said, to me, like Morello cherries, just really rich cherry nose to it. You still get a little bit of the oak. It has about a third new oak in the aging. And for me, this is a great kind of, middle of the road Pinot. It's not a big, heavy extracted Pinot. And it's not, like the 17 has a little more intensity, but this is a great value from Burgundy. And I think this is going to age nicely, 7-10 years, no problem. And it's still quite young. On the palate, well, we can let everyone taste if you haven't tasted. Still some of the new oak, even though it's only about, I think 30% or so, is still pretty dominant. I get some of the vanilla notes. Get a little earthiness too. For me, it's kind of got that kind of underbrush kind of earthiness, but the dark, I get lots of dark kind of prune and cherry notes, and nice grittiness to it, gritty tannins, which hopefully, over time will soften and round out and become a little more elegant. So I'm really excited about having this vineyard now, and it's been really the 18, 19, and 20 are just been, for me, been off the charts in terms of the ripeness has been really, exceptional this year. Because of the drought, it got super ripe. It's pretty much close to 14% alcohol in terms of the natural alcohol, because of all the sugar that was in the grapes. And it's again because I think it's a pretty hot site, and it ripens really fast. This is the first red that we pick the past few years has been the Beaune, because it gets so ripe the fastest. So, any comments, or how about little cheese notes on this, Hannah?
Yeah, so for this one, it was a little bit challenging, I think, for me, because it is so light. A lot of the previous pairings we've done have had big reds or some kind of bolder wine, so I didn't want a cheese that would overpower it. So I thought something washed rind, but not washed in an alcohol or in a beer, a beer, a spirit, etc., but something just washed in a saltwater brine. So for those of you who went to Wegmans, they have a cheese called Chablechon, which is reminiscent of the French cheese Reblochon, which is just a saltwater saltwater washed soft cheese. So there's a slight rind, but the rind is not bitter, it's not strong, and the cheese inside is pretty tender, mellow. It's not going to be too creamy or too runny. So basically anything along the same vein would be great. If you have access to the Citeaux cheese, which is a Burgundian cheese, even something like the Langres cheese from the north of the region, which is just washed in a saltwater brine, yet again would be good. It could maybe hold up to like a young hard cheese, just something really mild and tender. Nothing like a cheddar or Gouda, maybe just like a young 2-month-old cheese. Otherwise, definitely a soft cheese. So I hope you enjoy.
Any comments on the
It's
wine?
a really good pairing. And
Good
we even tried a little bit of the Chablechon with the Aligoté, which really makes the fruit just jump out of the Aligoté.
Yeah, it's pretty creamy, so I think it would be nice with the Aligoté as well, which is kind of like the fun parts of doing the pairings, is because you can try, with each wine and see what works best. I think we learned that in our past pairings. Some of them should have maybe been inverse, but it's all a learning process, and it's good to know that the cheeses are standing up and that they're well aged and they're correct and representative of what you purchased.
Any comments on the wine?
No, just the cheese.
Just the cheese. That's all you guys care about, the cheese. I tell you.